Whoa, let's chill out.
All right. Tommy Points, episode 12. Dante and I were just going back and forth. I say it's the Grant Williams episode. I don't even know who this guy is. Tom Brady?
Yeah, TB12. Don't know if you ever heard of him before. Has a few championships underneath his belt, but if you never heard of him, that's fine. A lot of people have him.
Yeah, I feel like he's a nobody. But we got episode 12. How we doing, guys? I think this is, we said it, this is a positive, this has to be a positive episode, right?
I'm feeling a little different than I did the last few episodes. I can tell you that. I'm feeling more giddy, more happy to actually talk about the Celtics.
Riley is sounding like a snack with the mic. We are firing on all cylinders right now.
Ooh, we're looking good. We're sounding good. This is going to be a great episode. I can't wait.
It is. But before we get into that, you guys will see if you are watching on YouTube, by the way, please hit that subscribe button. We are seeing that number grow each and every day, and we love seeing it, and we love the views. If you guys are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, head over to YouTube, consider subscribing there. But you guys will see we do have some new graphics on the screen this episode, and for the month of March you'll be hearing more and more about them. We are sponsored by and presented by Manscaped. Woo! If you head over to manscaped.com, you can use the promo code TommyPoints. It's literally the name of this podcast, just with no space. Promo code TommyPoints. You could save 20% off your order, and that's not all. Free shipping. Manscaped's hooking it up with that promo code. Head over to manscaped.com. 20% off. Free shipping with promo code TommyPoints. Dante, you look like you got, more hair than the average individual, right? How has Manscaped helped you? How has Manscaped helped you?
Listen, I would say this whether or not, we had this promotion going on with them or not. I'll tell you what, guys. Manscaped, their razor is the best razor I have ever used in my life, hands down. As you can tell, I have a hairy face. I have some hair, on my cheeks, on my neck a little bit. So I've gone through razors in the past. So I know which ones are good and what isn't. And Manscaped, this one is the best one that I've ever used. So I would definitely recommend checking it out, using our promo code, and getting yourself a razor, because it is a great freaking deal, let me tell you.
For sure. And again, once we have that paywall and some premium content, we can get into showing some Manscaped use. All right, let's buckle up. Let's get ready for episode 12. Positive episode. Let's go.
This is getting ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. I love Walker. I love Walker.
All right, so episode 12, like I said, positive episode. We have more wins to talk about now. Now, I will say this. We got to start with the negative. Last episode, I think it was Dante Riley. I think you said it too, like, all systems go on the panic button if they lose to the Hawks.
Hey,
they lost to the Hawks.
What did I say? I said if they lost to that team with all these injuries, I mean, they didn't have – John Collins was there. They had a few guys that were healthy, but they still were missing two starters. Reddish and Hunter were out. I said – at the end, if they lost, there was no panic button, because I would have taken the panic button. I would have thrown it to the ground, taken a sledgehammer, smashed into a million pieces. So let me tell you, there was no panic button after that game. I turned the game off at halftime. And let me tell you guys something. You guys know me. I can't tell you the last time that I actually turned the game off, like in the middle of a game, whatever, and just stopped watching. I went to bed. They were down 20-something at halftime. I was like, there's no point in me watching this, because I just knew they weren't going to come back and get into it, which they didn't. I think they lose by 12 or something like that.
The score almost made it look a little bit better, because the junk guys came in and played better than the starters.
Can I tell you something? Is that they're really good at doing that too, is they go down by a chunk, and then they kind of like at the end of the game, they get the garbage points in, and it's like, oh, they only lost by 12. It's not that bad. Oh, no, it was bad. It was really bad. Gallinari had almost 40 off the bench. I mean, that was the worst it could have gotten. And it's weird too, because, after the loss to the Wizards, I was like, rock bottom.
Yep.
Lose to the Pelicans, rock bottom. Then they lose to the Mavericks, I'm like, rock bottom. And then they lose to the Hawks. I'm just like, I don't know how much worse they can get. So I'm just happy that they got those losses out of the way. Hopefully that we're not going to experience any more like that, and they're on the right trajectory right now. So let's get that out of the way. Let's get all the negativity out of the way early. So you guys go ahead.
I mean, I stayed up for that game. I didn't.
God bless you.
I don't know why. Riley, did you?
Yeah.
I wish I couldn't.
I'm
I just couldn't do it.
envious. I'm envious.
I had to be
of
up
you.
at 5 a.m. the next morning. I was like, listen, do I want to get like 6 hours of sleep and be pissed off going to bed, or do I just want to like get my 7-8 hours and just, kind of have peace of mind knowing I didn't have to watch the rest of that game? I chose the latter.
You made the right call.
Yeah, I have a feeling you were the smart one in this.
Yeah, you know what? It's like
situation.
pulling a Band-Aid off, man. You just got to rip it off and just keep going forward. That's it.
But like we said, this is a positive episode. These episodes have been negative, rightfully so. I mean, it's not our fault.
Yeah.
But we have a positive episode here. We have 3 wins to talk about. We have the Pacers, we have the Wizards, and then we have the Clippers. Obviously, a couple of those games don't seem as important as others, but I feel like every game was super important, just given how the Celtics had been playing. But any takeaways from those 3 games? I think we can definitely talk about Kemba Walker in a second too. But what about that Pacers game? Because I feel like my takeaway was I thought Miles Turner was going to be going for like 45 points, and he just disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, he started the game off strong. I mean, the Celtics were down 18-4. They only scored 4 points in the first like 5-6 minutes, and you're watching this, and if I was prepared to watch the Celtics get with another embarrassing loss, because just the way they've been playing this year, like that's just what I thought was going to happen. I mean, that they really haven't given me much faith from previous games that they can come back into these games and actually show heart and this and that, and they just started the game off so flat. But Kemba Walker had a big game. He had 32 points. Tatum, he didn't shoot that well. He really has been shooting well lately. But it was very encouraging seeing stuff, good stuff from Kemba Walker and Robert Williams as well. I mean, I think those 2 guys are really going to be the staples of this episode, because those 2 guys have just been playing at an unreal level, especially, Robert Williams, because just the things I've seen from him, he just looks so good and so much better than what we've seen from him in the past. So, those were the 2 biggest takeaways for me, how those 2 guys played.
Yeah, and honestly, Riley, I know I tweeted at you guys last night too. I know everyone's been high on Robert Williams, but there was multiple episodes, like episodes 1 and 2, where you even said you're just like, he might just be the center we're looking for. And Dante, you had that thought last night as well. I think he's actually like that.
He is.
It's so it's like it's not a hope and a prayer anymore. Yeah, it's like he is, which I don't know if he's ever going to get the start. I don't know.
Well, let's one step at a time. All right. We just want him to get good minutes first. Because, I'm telling you, if you give this guy, if he doesn't start, all right, whatever. But if you're going to have him come off the bench, if you give him 25 minutes a game, 25 minutes, I'd say 25, 30 minutes, 25 minutes, this dude's going to do just unreal things. He's going to make an impact for each one of those minutes. It's like that's what, and he deserves it too. It's not like we're saying this because, it's based off potential. Like we think he can do this. We've seen it when he's given good minutes, he kicks ass. So it's just, I don't know why. I don't know why we're not starting him, but like I said, one step at a time. So
that it is. It's like, I'll take the, he doesn't have to start, but how about starter minutes, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
And you can't even have the, we've had everyone say, oh, well, they say they're managing the hip and whatnot, and they're saving him. Okay, well, you're not managing a guy's hip if you're playing him 17, 18 minutes like he has the past couple games. Then he played 22 or something last night.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, that throws the hip out the window. Like now you can play him that much because you have been playing him that much and he's been producing. But Riley, what about you? Either the Wizards or the Clippers game? We kind of talked about Pacers. What did you see in those 2? Anything jump?
Well, I was going to talk about the Pacers game. I like what I saw from Jeff Teague, actually.
Hey, that's a good call.
Finally had a great game.
Finally, his secret agent contract expired, and now he can actually be a Celtic.
Yeah, really.
Just play well.
Yeah.
No, I was actually just impressed by that win because Tatum obviously played horrible. Brown didn't play that much better either. And it was really just Kemba Walker and our role players leading the team, and I think that was an impressive victory.
It is, and that was, like I said, it's not like you beat the Clippers or anything like that, but that was such a must-win game. We thought we hit rock bottom 4 times before that. If they go and lose to, I'm not going to call them a conference rival, but someone that's, comparable.
We play them a good amount.
Yeah,
we play them a good amount.
Yeah. In the and you've seen in the playoffs before too, like you go and lose to the Pacers there, and I think that game was at home too, right? Like all of a sudden it's like, all systems go, and that was Tatum. Tatum had one of his only like another single digit game, right?
Yeah, 9 points.
Yeah, 9
So
points.
if it wasn't for Kemba Walker and like you said, Riley, other guys on the bench, that game could be a whole different direction. And maybe we're not even looking at 2 other wins. Maybe that was just like, flush the toilet, season's over type of thing. Because that'd be 5. that would have been so. I mean, that just would have
4
been
in a
terrible.
row.
Yeah.
That would have been 4 losses in a row.
And we could honestly say the same thing for last night's game against the Clippers. Kemba Walker had 25, Tatum only had 14, Brown only had 18.
Yep.
I
I thought Brown was going to go for like $1 million. He started off so hot.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah,
oh
I
my
know.
God, watch out.
He had, I forget, he had like 11 points in the first quarter, and then he took 2 shots the rest of the first half. I was like, come on. Let the guy eat.
Do you guys, because I see this question a lot too, like why did Brown get phased out? Or why does Brown get phased out? And we have seen it before. He's not getting his touches at the end of the game. And I don't know if we've even talked about it on the show, but it's always been like, they're playing ISO ball and whatnot. But to me, it's almost like that might be, and again, it's a positive episode, so don't take this too far, but it might be like a bad look for Jaylen Brown. Like he's not alpha enough right now to say, hey, give me the ball. Like I'm going, because it's happened a few times this year. Luckily, we get a win against the Clippers when it happened. But I feel like Brown disappears sometimes, and maybe it's just this year's problem because he's taken the big leap. He's an all-star. Like he's finally going to have the confidence next year. But do you guys see that too, or am I crazy?
No, I feel like we've talked about it before where he's just like kind of hesitant to, demand the ball or take over a game, especially when Tatum was out with COVID and Kemba was coming back. We noticed it again. I mean, against the Knicks, that first game and the few games that followed, it was just kind of like he was hesitant to, be like, hey, I'm the top guy here. I'm the one that's going to be taking a bulk of the shots. Because I mean, we can all agree. I mean, he's good enough where he can do that. But I feel like he's just not mentally. He doesn't think. I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't think that. But he needs to realize that he is, a phenomenal player, one of a kind, really. And he deserves to be taking just as many shots as someone like Tatum. And he can take over games just like Tatum. So I think maybe it's part of him just realizing that and understanding that, he has a big enough role on this team where he can do that. And he has a big enough voice where he can, I wouldn't say demand the ball, but, ask for the ball more and take more shots.
Or he deserves the ball, really. It's like,
I mean, he does. I mean, that's the thing. It's not like he's asking for these shots. It's not like he hasn't been playing well. And it's just, why are we going to give you the ball if you haven't been playing well? Like the guy's having a career year, and that's an understatement. Like he's an all-star. Very good chance he makes the All-NBA team at this rate. And you're right. He's very deserving of more shots and being able to take over a game just as much as Tatum does.
And we kind of saw Tatum do that too, right? Like a year or 2 ago, maybe, where he would just all of a sudden go missing. So maybe
I think it's just that next step. I feel like
exactly, exactly. But that Clippers game again. He kind of, like you just mentioned, Riley, he had 18 points, which, you would take. Again, it's not like Brown this year. You want more than that. You would take. But if it wasn't for Kemba Walker, if it wasn't for Robert Williams, maybe we can dive into those guys now. This team would not be 3-0 in its last 3. Kemba Walker in the last 3 games here, and it stinks because you can even roll this out into like his last couple weeks of play. He had one dud, I think, where he had 14 points or whatever.
Yeah,
but
against the Pelicans.
Yeah, so in his last 3. He's averaging 26 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, 45% from the field, 45% from 3, almost 90% from the line, and the Celtics are undefeated in those 3.
And how about this as a bigger sample size? In the last 9 games, Kemba Walker, in 9 of those games, he's had 7 21-plus point games, 22.7 points, 42% from 3, 92% from the free throw line, above 40% from the field, and has a plus 5.5 plus minus. I know some people don't really like the plus minus stat, but to me, I like it because it shows that when he's on the court, he's making an impact.
Yeah.
So to me, I see those numbers and I see this and that. When Kemba Walker was having a tough stretch, like he had, when he first came back, he had like a tough at least 10 game stretch, right? And everyone's talking about we trade him this and that, he's a bum. But then he has a good 9 game stretch. And I feel like I'm not hearing much about it. You know what I mean? It's like
what I've heard more of is like, his trade value's up, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
No,
that is such bull.
He is playing very well right now. I think what's happening is, and what has been happening is, he looks healthy. He's looked healthy since he came back. It's all mental. He's out of rhythm, not used to his role. He's never been a third option in his life. When he was on UConn, he was the man. He was the one taking game winners. He comes to Charlotte for 7-8 years. He is literally being told, you run this team. We're going to we're going to play behind you. You're going to be the one that leads us. Comes to Boston, signs as to be one of the top options on offense. And then, things happen. A year goes by and he comes back in. Tatum and Brown are ahead of him. Some players, it's easy to adjust, to a new role and this and that. Some guys, it doesn't happen overnight. Rome wasn't built in a night. Some guys, it takes a little bit. And I think Kemba Walker is finally starting to pick up his rhythm and getting used to playing in the new role that he has. And you know what? It's like, be consistent about it. If you're talking crap about him when he's playing bad, acknowledge that he's playing well. It's not like the last 3 games you said. The last 9 games, he's averaging 22.5 points. Like, that's not something that you can just sweep underneath the rug. Like, that's something that you have to look at and say, hey, maybe we were wrong. It just took him some time to get there.
He's been so much more consistent than people think.
And that too. He's been much more consistent.
But everyone still clings to the I'll believe it when he's consistent. It's like, but he is.
The sample size is just the same amount as the sample size when he was playing bad. So it's like you got to be consistent about it.
Exactly. And the thing is, we've said it on this show. I've said it on my shows. The reason you don't trade Kemba Walker is because the minute Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum have a bad night, God forbid they both have a bad night like we saw against the Clippers, what are you going to do?
Exactly.
And against the Pacers, what are you going to do? That's what happens. Kemba Walker steps up, 32 points against the Pacers there, and 20 plus 25, I think, right, against the Clippers. Like, that's why you have Kemba Walker as opposed to Lonzo Ball, who would just keep passing it to a Jason Tatum who's having a rough night, which is just
Listen,
nuts.
Kemba Walker is the perfect third option. Like, once he gets everything figured out, like, you have a third option that can give you over 20 points a night. Like, that's rare. I mean, it really is. And for someone to be able to score the way he does, but to also accept a lesser role and really care more about winning than individual stats. I mean, I think whether or not you like how Kemba plays on the court or not, you have to say, like, he cares more about the team winning than himself. And that's very rare to get out of a third option on a team. So that's why I've never wanted to trade him. Because like you said, like, people are saying, let's trade him for Lonzo and JJ Redick. Okay, cool. Like, Lonzo Ball, maybe a better all-around guard, better on defense, this and that. But, like, the drop off from Kemba to Lonzo, or even not to pick on him, but Kemba to Marcus Smart, like, the offensive drop off is very significant. Like, you're going from a 20 plus point per game score to, I know Lonzo's been playing well lately, and I'm not going to discredit him. He's been playing very well lately, but the drop off is still there. Lonzo Ball can't take over a game. Marcus Smart, I mean, Marcus Smart's a roller coaster experience having Marcus Smart in the Celtics, but he's taken over games before, but he's not that type of player. Kemba Walker is a guy that can take over games when you need him to. And like you said, Evan, when Jaylen and Jason aren't having a good game, you have Kemba. Jaylen and Jason are having a good game, you have Lonzo Ball. Yeah, all right. No. Yeah, I'd lose my freaking mind if that happened.
Let me ask you guys this. I want to know both your takes on it, because this is where I'm at with Kemba.
Okay.
His play is back, right? His play is back. But in terms of him being, like, back in terms of underline, bold, italicized, all caps, that word back, I still want Kemba playing back-to-back games. I know there's so many backs going on here, like back-to-back, back. It's crazy.
Back.
But that's fair, right? It's like, until I'm like, okay, this is like the Kemba that we need to say win a championship, right? He needs to be so far removed from that knee injury that, when they're nationally televised or anything like that, Doris Burke isn't mentioning the knee or anything. And I think that's it's not a criticism of Kemba, because I think that they're just slow playing, and which is smart. But it's fair to say, he's not. You can't say he's 100% back as. Yeah. On the court, I think he is. I think he looks like he is on the court. But in terms of just the whole concept of Kemba being back, I think I'm still waiting for him to be able to play multiple nights, and not have to take rest days like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I honestly, I mean, this isn't going off of anything. This is just a personal opinion. I don't think he really has to sit out back-to-back games. I think he's healthy enough where he can play every game if he had to. I think it's just precautionary. It's just, we want him at his best for the playoffs. That's really the reason why we're doing it. Because last year, I mean, I don't want to say we rushed him back in, but when he came back, you can tell that he was obviously still hurt, and Danny Ainge admitted like we handled it the wrong way. They're not going to make that mistake again, so I think that's why they're being extra cautious, and that's what it is. It's just being extra cautious. And I think he's going to be sitting out back-to-backs all year. I'm pretty sure they said that a few months ago whenever he came back. But I think that's fine. As long as he stays healthy for the playoffs, they can do it. They can do whatever. And plus, his numbers when he sits on a back-to-back, the game after is incredible. Where he averages like high 20s or something like that, and he shoots, his shooting percentages are off the charts. So yeah, I mean, but I agree with you. I unfortunately think that this knee injury and the size of his contract is always going to be tied to him, unless the playoffs come around, he just goes off and he looks like Charlotte Kemba. Then I think they're going to start taking that away, detaching that from his name. But I just think the way the media is, the way people talk about things, that's just what we're going to be hearing for the next few months at least. So I think that's just how it's going to be.
Right, like they still mention Gordon Hayward's injury, and it's years from now.
But and Gordon Hayward is playing at an unbelievable. And I just want to say too, this is off topic a little bit since you brought it up. I am so happy for Gordon Hayward, and I am very happy that he's playing at the level that he is. I'm happy that he got the money that he got. I'm happy that he is back to being a top option on a team, and not for nothing, the Hornets are pretty fun to watch.
They're such a fun team.
They're very fun. They are like Rozier, LaMelo, and Hayward, and Miles Bridges too. Like that's a fun.
Devontae Graham, like
Devontae Graham,
they have
Malik Monk. Yeah,
that's a fun. I mean, they're not as good as like you'd hope if you're a Hornets fan, but they are fun.
Yeah, they're a fun team to watch. I think they're a team that could absolutely sneak into the playoffs as like a 7-8 seed. And not to discredit the Hornets, but the East sucks this year, so it wouldn't shock me whatsoever if they did. But yeah, going off topic, but I'm happy that Hayward is doing his thing. So a lot of people, people shit on him a lot. People like, they counted him out and this and that. I loved him when he was in Boston. I think he did well. Obviously, the roles changed up and everything, but him being where he is right now, being one of the top options, he's doing great, and I'm very happy for him. So that's all I have to say about that.
I'm happy for Rozier too. He was one of my guys in Boston. Then people hated him.
I miss him,
but
I miss him so much.
I loved
Terry.
I miss him so much.
When he wasn't good, he was almost like my shtick guy that hey, he's so good, look at him. Then he actually balled out when the injuries happened and whatnot. Now he's kind of
Drew Bledsoe
balling out.
Such an iconic moment. Oh my
amazing.
Gosh, I miss that. that.
Those are the days. Hey, maybe we got some. Marcus Smart comes back. This team right now gets a little bit more attitude, and we can roll with that, because I feel like the characters on this team aren't the characters that we've had in years past. Not even characters, like the symbols, like Isaiah Thomas, Terry Rozier, these sort of nostalgic players.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
But hey, who knows? Let's talk Robert Williams. Riley, we'll let you start because you've been preaching
your
for
guy.
the man.
This is your guy.
I think by default he's become Riley's guy, because I'm telling you that sticks out in this podcast. Riley's saying that he's the center of the future and the center of now. What have you seen? What? I mean, we all know what we've seen, but Riley, why don't you just take it away on Robert Williams?
Well, just the more minutes he gets, the better he looks. That's what we've been saying all along. He just needs more minutes to keep progressing, and that's exactly
Riley.
what he's doing.
Preach.
He can get boards, he can score. The alley-oop goes crazy. He can assist,
catches
blocks.
everything.
I honestly think he should be in the starting lineup.
I don't see why not at this point. I know we talked about it before, but actually every game that progresses, and we were saying that before watching these past 3 games. Mm-hmm. Now we've seen this, and it's like, I don't get why not. And again, sure, you have the sort of age-old go-to of, he'll play down the stretch, which is what he's been doing, but it's still just such a, to me, a slap in the face of, you're not a starter. He can't even go home to his family and be like, hey, or his boys, and be like, I start. You know what I mean?
Mama, I started. Mama.
Has anyone ever walked into a party and been like, yeah, I play the crunch minutes in a basketball game? No, you say I'm the starter. I get it. It matters that you play. I'm the eighth man, but I play a lot of minutes in the fourth quarter. It's like, what?
Don't want to say it. Don't want to act cool or anything. But so he's
got to start just to get that credit to me. And again, no slight towards Tice, no slight towards Tristan Thompson. It's just, I think Robert Williams does more. And the thing is, guys, if say he goes out and sucks in one game, right? What do? You pull him and put in what you have now. It's not like you're risking anything by starting him. You're not trading for him. You're not sending out pieces to get him. You start him. If he doesn't work one game, take him out and adjust from there. Literally.
Yeah, no, I said this about Pritchard and Semi. Like, you don't you don't know how guys are going to perform in the starting lineup if you don't give it a shot.
Yep.
How do you know Robert Williams isn't starting material or he's this or that when you've never given him an opportunity to start? Give him a chance, give him an opportunity, and you know what? I feel very confident that if he got that opportunity, he would seize it and he would look amazing. But until we see it, I don't know.
Maybe
I want to see a starting five of Kemba, Jalen, Jason, Tice, and Williams.
Ooh,
see, I think that'd be good too, because then that's the two big lineup, but one of them stretches the floor and one of them just a high flyer. Like Robert Williams, as as much of a tied to the closer to the rim, the better type of big man he is, he's still, nimble enough and athletic enough to not clog the lane. Like Tristan Thompson, I like him. I think I'm probably higher on him than a lot of people, but he does clog the lane when he's in there. Like, he literally just sits there, isn't very mobile. You know what I mean? So
can't do much besides rebound and get points in the paint.
Robert Williams is setting high screens, rolling to the hoop. Like, he's more active. I guess that's probably the good word to use. So I don't know.
Having Thompson as a big man coming off the bench, I think is pretty good.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, the energy off the bench.
Smart, Pritchard, Neesmith, Ojale, maybe Grant Williams. Off the bench.
No,
not Grant Williams.
No. Listen, if this was episode 1 or 2, Riley, I'd be like, yeah. But we're episode 12 right now. All right, this ain't no Grant Williams episode.
All right, so
Evan's
Smart,
saying,
Pritchard, Thompson, Ojale, Neesmith off the bench.
That's a gritty bench.
Because you got high energy Marcus, Pritchard, Neesmith. I mean, high energy players. Semi Ojale can stretch. He's got the muscle. He's got the body. And then you got Tristan Thompson getting the boards. I like it. I do. And this is kind of off topic too, but how about this? How about let me fix that lineup a little bit and let me make it better? So the Celtics, the trade deadline's coming up, guys, all right?
It is?
The trade deadline is coming up in a few weeks, March 25th. It's March 3rd. We're 22 days away. If my math is correct, I've never been great at math. 22 days away. There are two guys that I want the Celtics to target and try as hard as they can to get, because if we had these two guys, I think our team would go from here to – you can't even see my hand. It's off the screen. Harrison Barnes and Terrence Ross. You have those two guys coming off of the bench. Like, you got the grittiness, you got the defense, you got the rebounding, this and that. But then you add a 17-point per game score in Barnes. You add a 14, 15 point per game score in Terrence Ross. Two guys that can shoot the ball very well. Terrence Ross has nights where he's just unguardable. That just elevates the team so much better. I've said this. We've said this. We need more bench scoring. We need more this and that. As much as I like that bench, Riley, I think that's a great bench lineup. If we add guys like that, even if it's one of them, I think that makes it so much significantly better. And I'm just praying that Danny Ainge does something along those lines, because truly, like I say this, like, we've had a bad stretch. I mean, they've hit rock bottom. The panic button is long gone right now. It's smashed in a million pieces. But a move like that would make the team significantly better, and I'd feel much more confident about this team, especially when the playoffs come around, if they got someone like those two guys.
See, I think with Barnes, you not need, because I think Harrison Barnes comes in, fits perfectly, makes them a lot better. But I've said about when people say just go and get Harrison Barnes, I keep saying over and over again, I don't think Harrison Barnes you add to this team and all of a sudden they win the championship. I think that he fits perfectly, but you are paying sort of a superstar price, right, for a guy that I don't know if I would consider a superstar yet, but again, I keep saying, like, if
you don't think Harrison Barnes is a superstar? Come on,
no, sorry, but seriously though, Harrison Barnes, I feel like I would go to sleep with a smile on my face if they got him, but I don't think he makes them all of a sudden like this contending team. Or probably contending. I'd give him maybe contending, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
You throw in another name, Terrence Ross. I mean, would be absurdly ideal, but you throw in another name like that, a really, really gettable guy, all of a sudden I think that does put this team over the top, because now it's not just one guy you're getting. And I think, we've probably all said it at different times, this team doesn't get fixed. I know we're 3 games removed from that rock bottom over and over again, but those problems were and still are problems. They're just kind of hopefully minimized right now. This team doesn't get fixed by adding one player to it. They have to build the team overall, and I think those two names you mentioned, Dante, I'm completely all in on.
I think too, like, you know, a lot of the issues I feel like this team has, like bringing in fresh new faces, would it help? Yes. But I think a lot of their issues that they've had are internal issues. You know, the way they start games off, lack of energy. I mean, going down 18-4 against the Pacers. I mean, against the Pelicans, they went down like 14-2.
Yep.
Starting games as slow as they do, you know, picking it up second, third quarter, you know, their second and third quarter stats are just so incredibly better than their first and fourth quarter stats, like net rating, offensive, defensive rating. Like, it's really night and day. It really is. And then the fourth quarter comes around and they just collapse 95% of the time. So it's like there are issues that you have to fix that new players won't necessarily fix. Would it help? Yes, but you still have those internal issues. And the reason why I like these two guys so much is, one, both of these teams are basically bottom of the barrel in their conference. The Magic right now are 13-22. They are only 4.5 games back of the 8th seed. Again, saying how bad the East is. But I don't think the Magic are going to be a playoff contending team. I mean, they have injuries up the, you know what, and I think they're going to be sellers. I think, you know, Ross, Fournier, Aaron Gordon, even, I think those guys, you know, if the price is right, I don't see them staying in Orlando. And the Sacramento Kings, I thought this shocked me because, you know, I've been talking about Harrison Barnes and I'm thinking, you know, the Kings are okay. Like, they're not going to be sellers because, you know, they can make a playoff push. Then I find out that they're the 13th seed in the West, and they're 5.5 games back of the 8th seed. And I can tell you that the Kings aren't going to make the playoffs. So I'm thinking both of these teams, Magic more than the Kings, but I think both these teams are going to be sellers. And, you know, if the Celtics we have first round picks and stuff like that, we don't need these picks anymore, right? We don't need these late first round picks. Use them to trade for guys. I know Danny Ainge is like, use the trade exception in the summer. I get it. You get more money out of it. But listen, if you can get guys like that, Harrison Barnes making $20 million, Terrence Ross making 13. They have 2 more years left on their deals after this season. So you basically get them for 2.5 seasons, and the money is like gradually going down for both of them. So it's like you pick up contracts that just get better over time, and you have them, I wouldn't say long term, but you know what I mean? Like more than just, it's not a rental. So it's like, if you can make that happen, in my opinion, it's a no-brainer. Like, obviously, you only get 21 million of the trade exception with that Hayward one, and it turns to 28 in the summer. But like, if you can make a move like that now, and I personally think it would make us significantly better, you do that. So, but that's just my 2 cents. What do I know? I'm not a GM.
No, I'm in on it. I really am. There are other names out there too that I've seen floated around too, and I like the idea of going after a team that's like disheveled, like the Rockets. Now, the names aren't as glamorous as the names you've mentioned, but they Gordon have guys like Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker, Daniel House, Ben McLemore, guys that could help this team. You know what I mean? They're not a Harrison Barnes, and I wouldn't even say they're even a Terrence Ross. Like, I really do like Terrence Ross, but it's like, I think you're crazy if you're Danny Ainge and you don't look at this league and say, okay, you know what, who can I go and try and trade with? Because you know how much and I think we can actually talk about this too, how much he likes to like really just win a trade. That's been like the whole narrative on Twitter. It's like teams are afraid to trade with him, but some teams have zero leverage, so why doesn't he go and prey on the weak? Like, you're not to get a Eric Gordon or a PJ Tucker. It's literally been said, like a second round pick or 2 second round picks is the asking price for these guys. Yeah. Why would you not take that chance? You say you don't need these first round picks, Dante? Well, they sure as shit don't need these second round picks.
Yes, they don't need the first round picks. They definitely don't need the second round picks. You're right. I mean, like, you nailed it on the head. I mean, it's just, you look around the league, you look at these teams that are, possibly selling these guys for cheap. It's like, most of those guys that you just mentioned, they can come in and make an impact for us. I love Eric. I think Aaron Gordon is streaky, but he's a shooter. Daniel House is a very solid all-around player. He's a body. PJ Tucker, again, he's not going to give you. He might not even give you 5 points a night, but he's a very solid player, veteran player, big, tough guy. Like, he's someone you want around. Ben McLemore, he can shoot. It's just like, even if they're tiny pieces like that, like, you add up a few of those, like get 2 or 3 of those guys to bolster the bench, like that makes you better still. So I don't know. Danny Ainge says we know this a million times over the years, like, oh, we've come close. Yeah. We've talked to some team. If I had $1 for every time that man has said those words, all 3 of us, collectively could buy the Boston Celtics and go out and trade for Harrison Barnes, Terrence Ross, Ben McLemore, Eric Gordon, Daniel House, all these guys ourselves, and we can make it happen. Danny Ainge needs to stop talking and do something. That's all. That's it.
Where do you guys come out on these reports of like teams won't trade with him anymore and whatnot? Because I could see that being the case, to be completely honest. Like, it's a networking, like just like life, right? But I don't think a team would say, "Oh my God, that guy wronged me in the past." Unless you're the Nets, I can totally see that being like, "All right, that's gone too far."
Totally understandable.
But I can't see a team being like, "Yeah, we're not even going to listen to your offer because you beat us in a trade years ago, or because you beat another team in a trade." It's like it's a little, I don't know. I just can't believe that.
I want to say there is some truth to it. I do think, other GMs notice something like that, where it's like, when Danny Ainge goes into a trade, he's looking to fleece you, or he's looking to.
And we've heard like he got too greedy multiple times, right? There, I
believe that.
If they offer a good deal, like what was the Pacers deal that obviously it was Hayward's decision at the end of the day, that sign and trade. But there are rumors that Danny Ainge turned down like Miles Turner and Doug McDermott because he wanted Oladipo and like TJ, like he wanted every good player, right? Mm-hmm. So that I could see the issue with, but. In terms of a team looking at him being like, "Oh, like you fleeced the Nets, X amount of years ago. I'm not going to trade with you because that was mean." It's like,
you're a bully. I'm not talking to you again. Lose my number. Delete my number.
Trade bully.
He gets the call. Goes, "Oh no, it's Danny. Oh no!" Takes the phone, chucks it across the room. We can't talk to him. No, I mean, I believe there is some truth to it. Like, I believe, like, that's you build a rep around the league. Like, GMs notice, like, they see these things happen. So I feel like I'd say they're more on edge on making a trade with him and making sure that they do something that doesn't absolutely screw them over, than like ignoring a call or just not doing business. I mean, if you're a GM and you refuse to do business with someone because of their past, I mean, that's just a bad job on you. Your goal is to make your team better and to listen to these trade offers. That says more about the GM than Danny Ainge, I think. But I think there is some truth, but at the same time, I think it's a little overfetched.
Yeah, I think it's fair. You guys want to play a voicemail?
Let's do it.
All right, we got a voicemail coming in from Tessa, who we've seen on Twitter now a couple times, becoming a fan of the show. Shout out to Tessa. If you guys want to leave a voicemail for next episode, the number is 617-299-9269. 617-299-9269. Leave a voicemail for next episode. And we actually have a shout out I want to give before that voicemail, because we had asked last episode for someone to pull how many timeouts Brad Stevens hadn't used, right?
Yes, I saw this. So, incredible work.
The fact that someone did that is incredible. So I'm pulling it up right now so they can get the shout out that is due here.
This is vital information, guys. This is stuff that we need to know. Very important information.
All right, let's see what we got. Ready?
Oh, there it is. Okay.
All right. So,
Brad Stevens
we had asked how many timeouts Brad hasn't used this year. They've played, it was 30, I think they've played 35 games, right? And Basketball Mediator at B-Ball Addict Fan, credible handle, went through every single game and pulled the numbers here. He went through and he said the ones that aren't pictured here were a couple more and a total of 8 more. Total of 46 unused timeouts in 35 games.
Oh my God.
That means he's averaging more than 1 unused timeout per game, which
I don't even care if you're blowing a team out. You got 4 timeouts left, bro. Like, give your guys a breather or something. Like, come on. Like,
yeah. So
that's absurd.
So the one thing I wish we had was, maybe if we had seen like how that ranks amongst coaches in the league. So maybe that is B-Ball Addict's next task. You can be the stats guy of the podcast if you pull that. So what are
if
other
you can
coaches?
Get that, I will applaud you. I will whatever you need, you let me know. Yeah, you're hired. You're a statistician. If that's what I think that's what it is.
I will say I feel like he went game by game and pulled that by the looks of the notes, right? So I'm not asking you to do that for every single team, but if you want to do that, you're hired.
But if you want to do that, please, you're hired. But like, that's amazing. That's awesome research though. Shout out to him.
But Brad Stevens been like in that Clippers game. He took a timeout every time I wanted a timeout taken. He's taking steps up.
Maybe he's improving. I don't know. I'm not getting too ahead of myself though.
Yeah,
Not yet.
that's
Maybe
true.
listening to the podcast.
Yeah. Maybe he's
Not
listening.
yet.
Is he our burner account on here,
Listen,
like commenting?
we're trying to be positive, but not too positive.
I know
Not
this.
yet.
It could literally all go to shit in 3 more games that just stink, and then all of a sudden all this works.
All right.
But all right, we go. We've let Tessa's voicemail wait long enough. Let me know if you guys can hear this.
Hey y'all, my name's Tessa. I'm from Illinois. I love the podcast. You guys are doing a great job. My question for you guys is, what do you think about Tristan Thompson being addition to the team? Thanks. Bye.
So it's a good question. We talked about him a little bit, and I think last episode we talked a little bit about it, and I said, I know at least for you, Dante, I said I'm a little bit higher on Thompson than you were. Mm-hmm. To me, Tristan Thompson has been exactly what I pictured he would be. And I keep countering anyone that says, Thompson's been a letdown, because his game is a letdown in and of itself. He's not going to come here and be this flashy scorer or anything. He's going to do stuff that is just like no one cares about. He's going to get offensive rebounds, and you have to be sort of a basketball intelligent, I guess, to see the value in that. He's not going to show up on SportsCenter or anything like that. So to me, anyone that thinks Tristan Thompson, I'm not saying that's you guys, but anyone that thinks like Tristan Thompson has completely been terrible this year and a bad signing, that's to me someone knows the name because he probably has been with a Kardashian and thinks he comes here and is going to average like 20 points. Tristan Thompson has come here, been just under 10 rebounds. I think it's like 9 rebounds a game, and plenty of those offensive. Like, he has been exactly as advertised, and to me, not that he has to start every single night, but has been a guy that they can turn to no matter what the situation is, obviously depending on matchups because he's not playing as much as of, in late in games, but being able to turn to for what he is, and he goes out and does what he's supposed to do. Now, again, he's limited. He's not always going to be able to play late in games because of matchups and whatnot, but that's when you don't play him. To me, he's been completely as advertised, and I've been truly pleased with him.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Tristan Thompson is like you can't expect the world from him. Like you said, like he's a rebounder. Like he's not. I mean, with the team that we have, you're not asking him to give you even double-digit points a night because we have enough guys that can score the ball. He doesn't. You don't have to ask him to do that. There are. He has, when the season began and, he came in, he had that hamstring injury, then COVID hit, this and that. He wasn't looking that great. He has looked a lot better recently, and I think, he's finally fitting into his role. When we did sign Thompson and Teague, I was more hyped about the Thompson signing because although, like you say, he's come as advertised, he's not going to give you these crazy numbers, but like he also brings something that I think will come in hand and will show, especially later on. He brings experience. He's been to the finals 4 times. I know he's only won it once, but like he's been to the finals 4 times. He's played with the best player. He's gone up against the best players in the world. He's played with one of the best players of all time. He knows that winning mentality. And I like him. I would prefer him coming off the bench. Like you said, Riley, I think that him off the bench would be more ideal for him. Just because in my opinion, I'm not trying to say anything bad about the guy because I do like him. But I think he is a tad bit overrated on like defense. I think he can be exposed more than like someone like Robert Williams. I think, you sub him out for him. Robert Williams is a much better defender. I mean, against the Pelicans, I understand Zion Williamson's this big guy and he can do this against a lot of people, but Tristan Thompson was getting bullied by him. And when Robert Williams was bully, like really like making Tristan Thompson look like a fool. And Robert Williams is in, he's blocking his shots and this and that. So, I think there are a few parts of his game that I'm not the biggest fan of, but at the same time, he does a lot of good things, and that's getting offensive rebounds, getting rebounds in general, and creating second chance points. So I do like what I've seen from him. He's gotten better. And actually someone tweeted this at me today, and I thought this was very interesting. I want to see what you guys think about this. So this guy Justin tweeted me saying, interesting take that they had on 98.5 this afternoon. The Celtics can't afford to mess up the Tristan Thompson experiment because he's one of the first signing of Clutch Sports, and we can't afford to mess up the communication relationship between us and them. And I also saw this theory that Tatum is doing all these commercials now, like Ruffles, that Anthony Davis does, who's also signed with Clutch Sports. He's doing a Subway commercial with Draymond Green, who's also signed with Clutch Sports. So there's this theory going around, I guess, that Clutch Sports is trying to sign Tatum, and how what's his name? Why am I blanking right now? The agent,
Rich Paul?
LeBron's Rich Paul. Yeah, that's who it is. Like, what he gets those guys into big markets like the Lakers and stuff like that. Like, he makes things like that happen. So I think that theory is kind of interesting. How like you don't want to mess it up. Like, keep Thompson in Boston, so it's just like we can keep Tatum here. I haven't really put much thought into it. I just thought it was kind of interesting.
It is. I never even picked up on like the spots that Tatum. I thought it was almost just Tatum becoming, which I guess aligns with that, becoming more and more of like a not just a Boston star, but like a star, like doing all those ads.
Yeah.
But
I just think it's interesting how they pointed out that the ads that he's doing are also ads that Clutch Sports members or signees are also doing. It's just like little things like that. But at the same time, we've seen Rich Paul do his thing in the past. Like, he's like, they get things done. So it's like not something to overly think about, but it's just something. It's just a little thing to think about, I guess.
Was LeBron's best friend or something, right? Or is that
yes, childhood friends, and he just became his agent, and he built up an empire that you call Clutch Sports, and they have some of the biggest names under that company. So I mean, I don't know. Hopefully Jason Tatum isn't the next one, because I don't even know what would happen at that point.
No, all of a sudden he's gonna go and listen to these names though. It's Anthony Davis, John Wall, Ben Simmons, Draymond Green, Nurkic, KCP, LeBron, Trae Young, and I think that's just a brief mention.
Yeah,
of them.
I think
there
the more Twins are in there too, but yeah, those are the big names.
Yeah, for sure. But
I don't know. No, I don't want to scare you guys. All right, I'm not here to scare you.
You kind of did.
Yeah, you got me.
Riley's like, I don't know. You kind of did.
You got me feeling like Tatum's gonna like just chase. I mean, he got his money, so I guess. But you got me feeling like Tatum's gonna chase the sunshine and paycheck on a bad team or something. I don't know.
Listen, he's signed up for 5 more years. That's all we got to know right now. Okay, 5 more years, and then we'll get there when we get there.
But I want more, Dante.
We need a lifetime contract.
I want 6 years. I want 7 years.
You have a closed mind. 5 years is a finite amount.
I'm a 1 year at a time guy. You know what I mean? I don't like to think too far ahead into the future.
I want all the years.
That's on his contract.
We're living in 2021. My head is in 2031 right now.
Jason Tatum signing to an all the years contract, not lifetime, just all the years.
He's never leaving Boston ever. Not allowed to.
We got to get a deuce part of that contract too. If your son now comes into the NBA, he by default has to be on the Celtics.
As soon as he turns 18, 19, whatever the rules are at that point, you got to go to college or not, whatever it is. As soon as he's eligible, he's on our team. Yeah,
he might make it to the league. He's big.
I think
he's going to be big.
Riley, I saw you post that Twitter, and I was like, "Wait a second." He's like, he's got like legs and arms 3. Now. He's not just like a nugget.
He, like 2-3 years old.
He just turned 3. He looks like he's like 8.
Listen, when your dad's Jason Tatum, I mean, he's probably going to be a baller. I mean, come on.
I mean, there's the videos of him like shooting and stuff too, and he's just whaps.
He's training him. He's getting him going. I like it. He's going to get a 10-day contract when he turns 4. For his birthday.
All the years contract for the entire Tatum family.
Yes, exactly.
All right, guys. What else do we have to talk about? I think we kept it pretty positive, right? Do we have any big issues that we need to talk about or good things?
I wouldn't say this is an issue. It's not an issue, but I will like to point out that Aaron Nesmith went from getting 20 minutes a game. He had 7 straight games or 6 straight games of 20+ points, and now he's not even playing. Now he's back to not playing.
It'd be one thing if he wasn't playing well,
but he's been playing. He's been playing very well. It's the Celtics are winning, so it's not like if they were losing, I'd probably be more upset about it. I'm not saying I'm not. It's annoying. It's annoying because the kid's been doing well and he's deserved these minutes off the bench. And now he's back to, he went 6 straight games of 20, then he played 14, then he played 7, and then now he's playing nothing. So it's just been going down. I don't understand. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't have an answer. I don't know why Brad Stevens is doing this. But I'm not surprised, I guess, because I know that's something that Brad Stevens has done.
I think this will be a good test for him to see, like, when he comes back and actually starts to get minutes, if he's still plays well or if he just kind of shook him up.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm worried too because like we're gonna have Marcus Smart coming back eventually, and Romeo Langford is very close to coming back as well. He's probably gonna be back by
Is
the
he
end
though?
of the month.
Is that I know we've seen it soon, but is he?
I know.
He hasn't even taken the gloves off on the bench. He's still wearing those dainty little gloves.
Maybe he's gonna play in the gloves from now on.
I think he's got his nails painted and he doesn't want them to get ruined. I'm not too bullish on Romeo Langford right now.
Okay, but the point being is that their guys eventually going to be coming back. At least Marcus Smart. We'll just say Marcus Smart for now. So it's like you got to give these 30 minutes, these extra 30 minutes, Marcus Smart. So it's like, he already had that when he comes back, whether he was playing 20 minutes a night, you had that risk of those minutes getting reduced already. But now he's just gotten the minutes taken away from him. And it's like when Marcus Smart comes back, like what's his role going to be then? You know what I mean?
Jalen was out against Washington and he still didn't play.
Exactly.
It's
exactly.
weird.
It doesn't make sense. Like I understand, he has been shooting lights out. He has been scoring a lot. He has been shooting a lot. I think, that's mental. He's not, he's just trying to do one thing at a time. He's not trying to do too much, but like he comes in with such an energy. Like he's he's everywhere, like all over the place. Like he makes some, some dumb fouls. Like he gives up and ones, this and that. Like I think it was against Washington. I could be wrong. He went for a chase down block. Oh no, it was against the Mavs. It was Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
He went for a layup, fouled him, tried to do the chase down block, but it's like, he gave up the foul, but at the same time for him to hustle the way he did and try to make it stop, like I remember that more than I remember him giving up the foul. Like that's something that sticks.
Right.
So it's like, he's been playing well. So it's like, I don't understand why he's gotten the minutes taken away, but I agree with you, Riley. I think it is a great test for him. It's like, how does he deal with the adversity? He plays well, minutes taken away from him. How will he respond when he does get those minutes? When will he get those minutes? I don't know. But when he does come back, I think that'll be an interesting thing to look out for. Definitely.
Yeah, totally agree. I got to give a teaser for next episode. I don't think I even told you guys about this yet, but we have to do our just player grades. We'll go through the roster. We'll do player grades. So we got some homework for next episode. All right.
I love homework. Love homework, guys. Homework is one of my favorite things to do. Even out of college, I love homework.
You're smiling. Riley's just rolling his eyes. He's like, this dude.
this guy right here.
Dante's the guy in class that's like, teacher, you forgot to collect the homework. Hey, you just made your own bed. What are you talking about? You just said it, not me.
That is not a good look.
I said I like homework. I'm lying. I'm joking, guys. I'm joking. I don't like homework, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whatever. We'll let the listeners decide.
I'm not coming on next episode. You guys can do the grades by yourself.
Well, then you're going to fail. And I know how much that matters to you because you love homework.
No, I can't.
But, I think that's going to sum up episode number 12. Again, we kept it more positive. Hopefully that continues. We are just, we're victim to how well the Celtics are playing, all right?
Yeah.
So, if you guys want to follow us on Twitter, Tommy Points Pod is the Twitter handle. We're going to give one last shout out to Manscaped. Again, 20% off free shipping at manscaped.com. Promo code Tommy Points. Follow the guys on Twitter. Dante is at Dante on Deck. Riley's at Color Sports. I am at Ev Guy Boston. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Let's keep that sub count going. I feel like you guys can correct me if I'm wrong here. We'll consider the first 500 subs, which we're getting pretty close. Those are the OGs. No one else can consider themselves an OG and if they're outside of the first 500. I feel like
Hop on the train now. Hop on the train now because we're taking off. We already took off, but we're going faster now. So we're
about to put the turbo in the gas
Not
tank.
too many. We don't have too many stops left because we're going to be going full throttle eventually. No stops. All gas, no brakes. All gas, no brakes.
All right, guys. So, tune into next episode. We'll have our player grades, and we'll have more to talk about because the season will be halfway over, technically, by then, right?
Crazy.
Yeah. So, we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Peace.